Look around your home. You've planned for the predictable, the mortgage, the bills, the commute. But how have you planned for the one thing that will erase all of it in an afternoon? The disaster. The most critical decision during a crisis, when to evacuate, how much to stock, whether to buy insurance, is governed by a secret language. Probability. And the language is deliberately confusing. We are going to decode the most dangerously misunderstood number in disaster planning, the return period. What is the 100-year flood? Most people believe it's a flood that only happens once every century. That is the dangerous lie. The truth, used by engineers everywhere, is the annual exceedance probability, AEP. The term 100-year simply means a flood of that magnitude has a 1% chance of occurring in any single year. The year doesn't matter. The probability is what matters. This same confusing math is used for all major risks. A 50-year earthquake has a 2% AEP, and a 25-year hurricane has a 4% AEP. The math is identical. The consequence? What is the probability that a home in a 100-year flood zone will flood over the span of a 30-year mortgage? The answer is 26%. That is 27 times more likely than a house catching fire. That's not a rare event. That's a calculated high-risk proposition that your insurance company understands better than you do. Probability doesn't just manage where we build, it manages how we respond to a crisis. This is where we move from a fixed number to a dynamic predictive curve. Officials use this concept to track the rate of propagation for any threat. For infectious disease, it's the R value, but the math applies to all disasters. When a forest fire is spreading, its R value is high. Each burning tree ignites more than one new tree. When engineers design a power grid, they model the risk that one transformer failure, the initial case, will cause a cascading blackout, the propagation. In any disaster, the goal is always the same, achieving R less than 1. When fire crews create a fire break, they are mathematically enforcing R to be less than 1. Each burning zone spreads to less than one new zone. This predictive math guides trillion-dollar decisions on resource deployment and intervention timing. The ultimate disaster isn't the event. It's the failure to act on a changing probability. All these probabilistic models, the flood zones, the earthquake risk maps, must assume that conditions are stationary, that the past perfectly predicts the future. But the world is changing. The risk itself is multiplying. Warming oceans mean what used to be a 50-year hurricane is now essentially a 25-year hurricane. The AEP has doubled. Outdated building codes for an old earthquake model can fail a community when new fault line research reveals a higher AEP. When planners fail to update the risk, they force communities to bear an escalating, uninsured cost. The financial markets use this live, updated probability to set stock prices. We should use it to choose where we live and how we prepare. The knowledge is your greatest tool. Here is your personal probability matrix for preparedness. 1. Never accept the return period term. Always ask for the annual exceedance probability, AEP, the true percent chance this year. 2. Calculate your long-term risk. If you're buying a home near any risk zone, fire, flood, earthquake, calculate the chance of a disaster over the life of your mortgage. The formula is 1 minus 1 minus AEP to the power of years. 3. Prepare for R less than 1. In any crisis, your goal is to lower R, the effective transmission rate of risk, to below 1. That means preparing with supplies, having an evacuation route, and reducing your personal point of contact with the threat, making you mathematically safer. Understanding the odds doesn't mean you can control the storm, but it means you can control your response. If you want to dive deeper into the tools, maps, and official sources we use to calculate these risks, we've provided links and resources below in the description. If you want to understand another invisible system that controls your life, watch our next video on the algorithmic gatekeepers.